Aloha, YouTube investors. How is everybody doing today? My name is David Yansen. Welcome to my channel. Today is November 5th. It is Thursday, sorry. I don't know why I said Tuesday, but it's Thursday, 2020. And it is earnings season, so I have 3 holdings in my Robinhood portfolio that we'll be looking at their earnings. Not in this video, I break them up into 3 videos just to keep them 10 minutes or under as much as possible. I like to keep my videos 10 minutes or under. I now have a few that are in the 11 and 12 minute mark, but try to keep it around the 10-minute mark here. So very quickly, just because I have a little bit of a milestone here for my Robinhood portfolio, I'll show you that for the first time I have eclipsed $2,600. The last 2 days for the U.S. stock market, basically the whole beginning of November, so more than the last 2 days, the U.S. stock market has just soared. My personal opinion, basically because everybody knew that the election wasn't going to be decided on Tuesday. So that's my personal opinion. My personal opinion is everybody knew that it was going to be dragged out a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, depending on depending on people contesting the election, that it would be dragged out. And some of that is already happening. So we already have some stuff happening with our U.S. election where it's going to the courts, and they're taking their time counting ballots. I'm really surprised it's taken them so long to count Alaska, maybe because they have a lot of military people, so it just takes a long time for the mail to get there. But Pennsylvania is kind of the one that everybody's paying attention to. So, but anyway, this seems eerily familiar to me as the beginning of September and October. If you remember, September and October, the stock market started out really, really high at the beginning of the month, and then all of a sudden, midway through the month, it just started to drag out. Now, September, it started to fall sooner than the middle of the month. October, last month, right around the middle of the month, the second or third week, I think it was actually the third week, towards the end of the second week, going into the third week of October, the U.S. stock market started to fall big time. So it's nice to get these greens, but I do like buying the dips, especially for my Robinhood portfolio here. That is mainly a growth capital gains portfolio. My Roth IRA with M1 Finance and my Fidelity individual account, those are dividend companies. I look for the dips, but I'm not beholden to the dips. Like I did add to my Roth IRA today again, like I do every single week, getting to that $6,000 threshold. And I bought a company that was down, but is a dividend aristocrat, like most of my holdings are in my Roth IRA. And so I don't mind. I'm not beholden to it, but it dropped far enough to where I felt, okay, this is a nice dip to buy on. Where my Robinhood, for sure, I'm looking for the dip. So I don't put a lot of money into it. That's why I'm still under $3,000 after investing for over a year. June 13, you can see here is when I first started. But this is a nice milestone, almost getting to 3,000, getting over 2,600. 2,500 was really what I was trying to get over at the end of October or the end of September, I think, was my goal to get over 2,500. And I did briefly, I believe, let's go 3 months out. Yeah, so I did in quite a few instances, I kind of made it there. Look at it, it's kind of at the beginning of every month. So September 2nd, 2,700, and October 12th, this portfolio was up, but down on October 6th. So, and then all the way through the end of October, you can see how the volatility was. So 2,600, yeah. So now I'm on my way to 3,000, which is very encouraging for me as a first-time investor and investing for the first time in a recession and an election year. So this is nice for me. Over 15% in gains. We're still in after-hours tradings. After hours for the day, it is dropping, and it is mainly because of Electronic Arts, one of those companies that I'm going to do their earnings report for. And then Lyft also has been dropping in after hours, and I think Pfizer is the other one that's dropping in after hours. Yeah, so Pfizer's dropping in after hours. So I'm not breaking down the portfolio in this video. We're just going to talk about Square. in their earnings report in this video, but just to kind of scroll through, you can kind of see what my holdings are and how they're doing for the month of November so far, which is very, very good. So click on Square here, and you can see that I barely own a lot of Square. Like, I bought in when it was just starting to rise at $117 here, and it never got close to that. Like, it never got back down into the 120s. Like, go 3 months out here, and we look at, I think it was 150. Okay, so 137 on September 11th has kind of been the bottom. Yeah, 137. And I didn't think that it would fall below that. I just kind of really thought that it would stay up above 120. And because this is my capital gains growth portfolio, Robinhood, I didn't want to dollar cost average up when I'm at 117. And I prefer PayPal to Square because I use PayPal more. I have the credit card. I get $5 deposited into my PayPal account because of a survey that I do. I think it's with Facebook. I've forgotten now. It's just been several months. Just at the end of every single month, I've been getting this $5 deposit for doing these surveys every single month. And I actually don't do like a ton of surveys. Like, I just signed up for one, and they start tracking basically my location, and they start depositing this $5 into it. So I actually use PayPal more, but the Square app, as far as transactions are concerned, I feel because there are a lot of mom and pop shops, small businesses here in Honolulu and Hawaii in general, that pretty much every terminal you go to at a restaurant or a mom and pop store to rent a surfboard or to buy swimwear or snorkeling gear or anything like that, if it's not at a Walmart or one of those large stores, if it's down by the beach, more than likely it's a Square terminal. So I saw a lot more growth with Square, so I decided to invest in Square and not PayPal, even though I'm thinking if PayPal really starts to move in on the big banks, I would rather invest with them, especially seeing how they're moving towards Bitcoin, than I would the large banks. So I just have skepticism towards the large banks. I only own 3 of them. I mention it in almost all my videos, especially when I talk about banks in general. I'm just very skeptical about banks. So I don't own a lot of Square, but I am up over 54% with them. I believe I put in $25 at the beginning, somewhere around there, $20-25. And if it had dropped into the 120s, I would have added more to it. But right now, I'm just going to kind of let it set. At some point, I'm going to have to add more to this. So because this is a long-term investment for me, Square, and the Cash App. Cash App I've used a handful of times, peer-to-peer payments and stuff like that. We go out to eat, somebody doesn't have money or whatever, so we pay each other back later. But so I've only used the Cash App a few times, but it is one of the top, if not the top, in the top 3 of finance apps that you'll find. And I use Android, so the Google Play Store. I'm not sure where it tops in the Apple Store, but I'm sure it's pretty high up there as well too. So let's go over here to Alpha Street that I've been doing in a lot of my videos, and I do apologize. My laptop, I spilled tea on it the other day, and so it's probably going to be a couple weeks before they send me a replacement, a new one, because everything has to go to the U.S. mainland. They don't have fix-it places here in Hawaii for it. So I'm doing this on my phone, and I just don't feel that the quality, my screen quality for my laptop is good enough. I did it on old thvideos way back in July, but I'm kind of trying to stay into the 1080p range for my videos. So quarterly report, third quarter for Square, their financial results, September 30th is when it ended. Net income for the third quarter was $36.5 million, or 7 cents per share, compared to net income of $29 million, or 6 cents per share in the third quarter 2019. So they beat on that area, and total revenues increased 140% to $3 billion. So click on this graph here that I have used in other videos for earnings report. Sorry if you can't see it very well, so I'll just read off things for you, and if you want to rewind and check it later, feel free to do so. But GAAP net income up 24%, GAAP EPS up 14%, non-GAAP EPS up 36%. And then as far as revenue component percentage change, everything was up in the green. Bitcoin revenue up 100% because I think they just really recently just kind of got into that. Subscription service-based revenues up 60%, hardware revenue, transaction-based revenue all up as well too. Transaction-based revenue is actually up the least at 13%, all the others well over 20%. Revenue mix, the majority right now, it looks like it is coming from Bitcoin, and then next is transaction-based, which is no surprise. And then I'll zoom in here just a little bit for their gross payment volume, 31.7 billion, up 12%. So lots of growth, like I was mentioning with Square. That is why I like them. That's why I kind of have them over PayPal, because PayPal, they haven't tapped out their growth, but they're moving towards other services to help their growth, where Square still has a lot of growth in their base operation that they use. So some other highlights here, I'll zoom in just a little bit for you. Operating income up 54% to almost 49.5 million. Operating cash flow, 260, almost 261 million. Operating expenses up, which isn't unexpected. Long-term debt, this is very, very good in my opinion, even though Square isn't a large cap company. 1.7 billion I think is good for them. Adjusted EBITDA, which I can never say that right, up 38% to 181 million. And then this number is a number that I look at oftentimes, cash and cash equivalents and restricted cash, 3.3 billion dollars. So really good numbers for the Square stock for this third quarter. I didn't see anything. Let me scroll down here. Oh yeah, nothing really on because I didn't listen to the conference call about their futures, but I might mention that in a video a little bit later. So gross profit grew 12% year over year to 409 million, which is really, really good in a recession. But because they are a contactless payments company, more people are more apt to use them than they would. It's just easier to tap and go. So I often use Samsung Pay for tap and go at the terminal, whether it's a Square terminal or just a regular register, at a grocery store or something like that. So there's your earnings for Square. I do have Uber earnings coming up from this portfolio, as well as Electronic Arts, EA is the ticker symbol. But I won't go through the Robinhood portfolio on those two. I'll just go straight into the earnings. So everyone have a great day. Mahalo and aloha.